All right. So Lisa has trauma. We can talk through Lisa's trauma. But does anybody else have trauma? I'm asking point blank so that we can line up people to talk about their trauma. Specifically, if you have religious trauma, you're in the right group of people to talk to. Oh, Beth has trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Beth has trauma. Oh, but Beth, do you have religious trauma? Because if you do, we can talk through that if you would like. I know that you have other trauma going on, but
yeah, there was also I was kind of thinking about the article that you published last night about bullying.
yes.
Which is,
did you like that? Because I have you in tonight's story. And I'm just going to tell you, tonight's story is a divergence, and it's really fun. But I'm testing something out.
Okay, and I'm a guinea pig.
Yeah. The tonight's story is let me look at my notes. And so my tonight's story is Kira, Wendy, Sage, Phoenix, Bubba, Rami, River, Brandon, Aaron, and Sarah.
Oh, quite a group.
And it is specifically crafted around a specific event. Okay, Beth. Yeah, Beth, you're going to come in here, because that's a good one to talk through. Actually, that's a real good one to talk through from a trauma perspective. Let me bring up my notes here. Oh, switch to your phone. Yeah. So yeah, tonight's story is so like all the stories are kind of in this lane, and tonight's story kind of goes off into this lane, travels for a little bit, and then comes back into the lane. That's what I will say.
I like a little variety.
I'm not going to give anything away because I did that already in the secure chat. Our secure chat channel, the Wendy the Druid secure chat channel, but
on the Signal or whatever.
Yes, one day Brandon will join Signal.
I will probably eventually.
I look like hell, but here I am.
No, I don't give a shit.
Yes, thank goodness. Just pretend like I'm not here.
Look, I mean, I didn't do anything today, and I spent the morning door dashing shit. So what is that?
Nice.
Okay, so give us your trauma in 100 words.
100 words. I think my trauma.
Exactly. 100 words.
100 words. Okay. Catholic orphanage at the age of 4. Abusive nuns. Just in the preschool room. Just a terrible environment. Lined up to be spanked. I remember children lined up in baths. Same sex. Everybody going through like a car wash. Yeah.
Mm.
And I just remember the nuns just being horrible. And so that was my first taste of religion. And I decided I didn't like it. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories about mean nuns. I didn't grow up in the Catholic Church, so I don't have personally experience about that. I've just heard others the a lot of, well, like Southern Baptists and Pentecostals, they kind of they were, I don't know how to say it. They didn't really like the Catholics, you know.
Right. Yeah.
They
Correct.
didn't agree with their doctrine and everything. So I
Drop them.
I never went to a Catholic mass or anything growing up. I don't think my parents would have
No.
wanted that wanted us to go. But anyway, so how old were you when you entered and then when you left?
I was probably still 4. It was less than a year, I believe, from what I've researched. Um, I just remember that being such an impact on me. I had just lost my family, and to be put in there and just to be mistreated, and it literally, when you think of the big room filled with children and beds, that was my experience. Beds lined up. I remember there was a crib, and I can remember there was a moment where I must have just arrived or hadn't been there really long, and there was a lot of kids laughing and talking and threats of spanking, and the next thing you know, we were all lined up and spanked. So, yeah.
I think it must have been pretty significant. It's like with me, my earliest memories, I remember bits and pieces from kindergarten, but I don't
Mm.
think I can remember um, anything before that really. So at I don't
Mm.
know how it is with other people, but at 4 years old, remember having that significant of a memory, you know that it must have been pretty traumatic.
So
It really stuck. Yes. Hmm.
so I have a unique perspective about this. During my collegiate years, and I got attacked over this, but it's completely true. Nuns and the affectation of why nuns have such a strict and even further extent still abusive bent, and they all have it. I mean, there's reasons why. When you go to become a nun, you're essentially trained to foment a belief in God, either through missionary work or something else.
Hmm.
And there is this, I don't know, this viscerality that gets bred in them during the convent process. Um, and the person who most directly embodies this. Now, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, and if I say this, I may lose followers over it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
What?
um, Mother Teresa was a fucking terrorist.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, I want to hear this one.
Mother Teresa was not a good person. She was not. Um, so the most damning thing about her is that Mother Teresa, uh, basically, her so-called homes for the dying were medical disasters that should have been shut down, and the thing that she was known for was withholding medication for people that needed it.
Oh.
Um, so, um, so Dr. Robin Fox visited her facilities in 1984 and reported that patients were receiving substandard care and treatable conditions were untreated. Basic medical supplies were deliberately withheld. And when confronted about these conditions, Teresa's response was chilling. She believed that suffering brought people closer to Christ.
Well, that's what I
Okay.
was going to say
Yeah.
because I think a lot of, especially in the Catholic Church, the nuns, but in a lot of Christian religions, they believe that they need to suffer as Christ suffered. They need to take on a cross. You've heard the bearing it your cross.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think probably nuns project that onto whoever's in their care. Like, well, we're giving up all these things. And you need to do that too in order to be fully immersed in Christ and to be a true follower of Christ. You need to know suffering.
Well, shit, I should be rubbing up against him right now.
I completely agree with that. The thing about Teresa was, I mean, they took in millions and millions of dollars in benefit from the outside world. And even amidst that issue, even amidst that condition, people in her care were still living in squalor and substandard conditions. And, basically, where did all the money go?
I wasn't aware of that.
The funds were channeled back to the Vatican and basically used to expand the order of her influence over the area of Calcutta. So Teresa also believed that poverty should never be alleviated. She believed in preserving poverty, and she famously stated that poverty is a beautiful thing, and that the poor were gifts of God. And I mean, that fucked up theology meant that she had no interest in actually improving the economic conditions of the people around her. She received the Nobel Peace Prize in '79, which was a travesty. She used the platform not to advocate for better living conditions or economic justice, but to preach against contraception and stop abortion and all this other classically Catholic bullshit. Her anti-contraception stance was heinous, given that the birth control situation in Calcutta would have prevented countless numbers of death and poverty in the region that she was supposed to be doing God's work. And so that. Oh, okay.
Well, because in the Bible it says it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven or it's easier to enter. Let's see, how is that? And easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich man to enter heaven.
Yes,
there we go.
Exactly.
So for a rich, to be poor was a good thing, because you would, again, that was another thing, like a type of suffering that would bring you closer to God in that view.
So that was. Let's not even talk about the Vatican politics and the financial corruptions. But one more other. I want to say this before I tie this back to something else, and I'm going to explain this. Is the most revealing aspect of Mother Teresa's character was exposed when she herself required medical treatment. So she was dying. She needed medical treatment. A woman who denied pain relief to the dying and claimed that suffering was beautiful and that it, or whatever, she sought the finest medical care that the church could provide her. So and this is another one of those things. I'm going to say this and it'll piss people off, but very similarly to the way Ayn Rand did, objectivist Randian did about egocentrism and welfare was the destruction of society and yada, yada, and yada, yada. Ayn Rand died in public housing. She passed away on public welfare and public housing entirely. And so Teresa was the same way. She's dying, and they're doing everything that they can to keep her alive. And they're giving her every kind of medication that she countlessly number of times over and over iteratively refused to ever give to anyone else. And so the 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 reason that I say this is because I'm tying this back. There's actual scripture that says this is fucked up. Don't fucking do this. And here's what it is. So Matthew's 18th chapter. Hostana Skalana se hana tana bikran tata. Basically, if anyone causes one of the little ones to suffer, that whole bit. But the Greek translation behind that, so scandalise, to cause, to stumble or trap or lead to sin or away from faith. Mirakan, small ones, vulnerable, specifically including children. And then milos onikos, a massive millstone turned by a donkey in a reference to the stability of a child's life. And then karabasone sete, which is the Greek word for sinking. Christ basically says in that statement that anyone who traumatizes a child in his name should immediately die and be dead. Specifically, better off suffering one of the more horrific forms of execution imaginable in the ancient world. And so when Christians read that, the interpretation is don't fuck up a kid. But there are nuns that are lining people up and committing abusive acts that don't understand this. A further attenuation of this, there's a whole litany of the Psalms that say this. Psalm 127 declares that declares children as Nashalat Yahweh Banim Sakar Peria Patan. Children are the heritage from the Lord. Abusing a child under Hebrew law, where God did not command you to kill, was considered criminal, and you should die if you did that. And so I find it shocking that there are Christians who iterate that beating a child, emotionally abusing a child, doing any of the things that they would do to a child is okay, is counter to what the text teaches you to do. And it's bullshit. It's just fucking bullshit. So no, in my opinion, bet you should never have experienced that. No.
No, I feel like that really kind of set the pace. I had another incident at 17 where my biological brother had found me. Hadn't seen him since we were separated from at the orphanage. And he was in the military out here in Washington. I was in Michigan. And I flew out on a one-way ticket to get to know my brother, and was just going to spend about a month or so there, maybe 2. And he was very deep into what I guess I could only describe as like a far right Pentecostal church, if that's possible. And it was the first step. My clothes, like he went through my clothes, like what I could wear, what I could not wear, what I could listen to, like Gen X, I don't know if you remember the Party Naked t-shirts. Remember
yeah,
that?
of course. Oh yeah.
I had my pink Party Naked t-shirt. I'm graduated. I'm coming out to have a good time. And my brother is like, I had this, I will not forget this eyelet sweater. Just, if it's one of those, like if you did have a bra, you might see the shadow underneath. He was like, there is no way you're wearing this. And it was like, oh my goodness. So he then took me to his church on Sunday. He wanted to know if I would go with him. I'm sure. And when he took me right to I guess the preacher's office, and it was very awkward. He had a very plush office, um, big executive desk, everything just polished. And he said, I hear you're going to be living with us. No, just visiting. And he kind of looked at my brother and he goes, oh, my brother says, well, I hope she'll stay. He goes, oh, I thought she was staying. And then we go into church and they do this whole thing. They get into this big circle at some point during church. And I can't remember exactly at the time what they were talking about, but he starts to talk about somebody in the congregation today that's there that does not believe and to pray upon. You can't make this shit up. I walked out. It was like the separation of the Red Sea. I just literally just walked out. Everybody moved out of the way. And my brother came out. He was like, you embarrassed me in front of my congregation. I'm like, you're into some shit. I was done. I was just done. It was so bizarre.
So they didn't get to the point where they laid hands on you and spoke in tongues?
I did have people touching me. I was a little like, what is happening? Because everybody's supposed to, talk to the person next to you. It was just very, it was anyway, I just remember I left there. My brother took me home to his apartment and grilled me and then left me there. The phone rang and somebody from the church called me. I didn't know who it was, but he was like, I just want to tell you that I intuitively know that you're a whore. It was awful.
Oh, wow.
It was awful. It was awful. I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up my brother came back with the pastor of the church. I got into it with him. I said, I just want to go home. I was home within a week. My brother literally pulled up to SeaTac Airport, dropped me off, kicked me out, and that was it. For a very long time.
Those things don't surprise me too much.
So,
Um,
yeah, just religion
yeah.
is just not for me.
Well, the Pentecostal church flagrantly misuses textual interpretation to validate the things that they say
hmm
are the way that they are.
They take it very much in a literal sense, too, for
Um,
many things. At
well,
least that was my experience in that short week.
I can give you the easy one. And if I start talking about it, I know Brandon's going to go start nodding, but I'll just tell you. Pentecostal church individuals famously misuse Deuteronomy's 22nd chapter, 5th verse, which that's the verse that says a woman must not wear a man's clothing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yes.
So that passage, completely ripped out of its cultural context and weaponized to control women's clothing, is bullshit. So the Hebrew word kele gever literally means vessel of a man. And so it refers to, and this is going to be shocking, equipment, armor, and weapons. The concern in that passage is to prevent women from disguising themselves as male soldiers for deceptive purposes.
Oh, of
More
course.
importantly, if Pentecostals want to apply that law literally, they have to observe all 613 commandments in Deuteronomic law, which includes dietary restrictions and Sabbath regulations and ceremonial purity laws and all the other shit that they completely negate by using one little sliver of doctrine to control whether you wear pants or not. The And what's even funnier is that, again, from a textual perspective, the theological principle of Romans 10th chapter demolishes that legalistic dress code. Christ is the culmination of the law, so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. That's the end goal, completion of Christian doctrine. And so the legalistic bondage to ceremonial and cultural regulations stop at that point. So that's the whole like new covenant versus the old covenant argument. Like I can ignore the old covenant except for what Jesus talked about. Only in the case of Pentecostals, they don't. Well, they ignore most of it, but this one little sliver that says I can control what you can wear and why you can wear it. And so Paul even further says this later, iteratively, many times over. The dress codes that bind women consciousness and create spiritual hierarchies based on clothing are, in his words, "Ziog det deleas," the yoke of slavery. He actually says that. And he explicitly condemns it. And Christians, again, completely breeze over the fact that this is the case. And so Pentecostals, I love to deconstruct Pentecostals because they're the easiest ones to hit.
My sister-in-law till today, her hair is down to her waist.
Oh, yes,
He got married.
Yeah.
He married.
Yep.
Her hair is down, well, past her waist. It's probably to her knees. It's very long, and dress always down to the floor. And and my brother now that he's older, I think he's about 8 years older than I. He now looks like he's escaped from like Breaking Amish or something. He's just looks. He just looks. I guess he's an elder or whatever. So
Yeah, the Pentecostals are not too far from the Amish, really, as far as the Amish are they have they like to follow those the dress code and the woman's head covering, and
yeah.
That's it's just funny how people like to pick and choose what they want. I guess it follows their own personal beliefs, so they attach to it. It's like if I'm a patriarchal man and I believe that I should be the head of the household, of course I'm going to gravitate toward those verses that kind of look like they might say that, and like, yeah, look, see what this says? Yeah, it works. It works in my favor. So this is what we should believe. Yeah, Amish. Yeah, Karen, Amish are more strict as far as. Yeah, I don't know as far as the. I guess it's like the modern technology and stuff. They don't have. They don't use electricity in their houses and things like that. And I guess I don't know why exactly. I guess it's not to be in the world, of the world, I guess. In the world, but not of the world. But yeah, the Pentecostals don't go that far.
So I have a question about that, actually, because I've done research on this. I've never really sort of gone into it. Don't Pentecostals have this whole like material blessing bullshit where they say name it and claim it?
I don't know what. I haven't heard that.
I'm not familiar with that.
What do you mean by that?
A prosperity gospel teaching.
Oh, they may. I think a lot of religion, well, most do have some sort of.
Well, most do, but there are some that are keenly focused on tithing to the church.
Oh, they're very focused on tithing to the church.
My
brother
is that kind of. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say that. Were we talking about the prayer of Jabez?
We mentioned it. I don't think we talked about it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of the Baptists really latched onto that one, but it kind of sounds like what you're talking about as far as name it and claim it kind of thing.
Right.
And the prayer of Jabez was a very popular book within at least the Southern Baptists years ago,
Mm.
and it was basically a prayer saying, "Lord, bless me indeed," like just asking for blessings, and kind of along what you're saying. I think the name it and claim it kind of thing. But we kind of the basic principle, I guess, is kind of you have not because you ask not. You ask for more blessings, and supposedly you would receive those from God.
No, I'm not
Well,
getting anything because I'm going to hell because I read cards. So,
well,
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. You should
Mhm.
have mentioned that to the Pentecostals.
so like the reason that they like the two people that I most clearly attribute this to are Ken Hagen and Ken Copeland. And so
Oh,
then and this is how they do it. They Mark's 11th chapter. They twist Mark's 11th chapter, and so hoti hos etepe tuatoria totu, which is whoever says to this mountain, "Go and throw yourself into the sea." They
Right.
that phrase is the phrase literally like this one line. Um, where and it's basically it's Christ's metaphorical mountain refers to obstacles of faith and not
mm.
Lamborghinis and mansions and shit. And that the Greek ipe says occurs to the context of prayer and faith, not magical and a magical incantation. And so the whole idea that prosperity gospel teaching will save you is bullshit. That's again years of misinterpretation. Now, here's what I find funny. I'm pretty sure Ken Copeland knows that it's a misinterpretation, and he doesn't give a shit because he's making more money.
You think? Maybe.
Yes,
Maybe.
Have you seen the show Righteous Gemstones?
I love that show. Oh my god, I love that show so much.
This goes right along with that.
Um, but in furtherance of your traumatic experience, Beth, there's iteratively countless amounts of textual evidence that says that should never have been your experience and the perversion of the church.
I think the Catholic Church is very perverted anyway. I hate to say that. If there go a few more followers, but I think it's control. That's just my experience. Is that it's all about controlling the masses. I'm more of a spiritual person. I find peace in nature. I find healing in nature. And I think controlling people and abusing power is just it's disgusting, and it occurs every day.
It does. It does indeed, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and profoundly, but still, unfortunately, profoundly.
Do you feel like dissecting and kind of understanding the motivations behind the nuns and the Catholic Church, do you think any of that kind of helps with your healing? Helps you to kind of, I don't want to say get over at all, but move
Well,
past.
well, I think I'd be pretty bitter if I was not able to have sex. So, right? But no, it does help to take it by layers and look at what they are, what's put upon them. A lot of children, a lot of traumatized children, but instead of like bringing in people to help with that, it was just managed chaos. And I can remember that at 4. It really did stick with me.
Yeah.
that I just didn't feel comfortable at all.
Why would you? I think I think the larger narrative there is that. Well, I'll just say this: I've deconstructed with. No, I got one. Um, I've deconstructed with. By the way, don't laugh at me, Brandon, but I got a corn dog from Sonic for lunch, so I'm gonna, me and the corn dog are gonna get kinky.
Do
Me and
we
the
get to
corn
watch
dog are-
this live?
That's what I was gonna say. I was like,
eating
are we
this
gonna
live?
watch?
No, no, no,
This
no,
Are
no.
we
But
trying
this
to get
live
more?
is gonna go in a different direction. I
Are
can
we
see
getting
it.
more subscribers? Is this the push?
yeah. Oh, and then I've got the meaty, chili, cheesy dog that I'm also gonna deep throat after. So anyway, but yeah, I deconstructed with 40, 50 people over the years, and so the thing that I think that deconstruction helped
Mhm.
is understanding where the thing came from.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't you can't reconcile the abuse. Yeah, I did get just some items. Thank you. You can't reconcile that abuse, and I did not. But if somebody could grab me a Diet Coke from downstairs at some point, I would be really appreciative.
Grab 3, please.
Um, right. Mustard for what? Okay.
I'll take a Pepsi Zero.
You know,
Yeah, I was gonna ask for
you're
the
speaking
Sprite
that
Zero.
blasphemy in this live. Pepsi's a piece of shit.
Oh,
You know what I would Pepsi Zero? You know what I would rather do than drink a Pepsi Zero? Lick a cheap hooker's ass.
oh, hmm.
So, but back to the point is, yeah, you can't reconcile you reconcile your abuse experience on your own. Those are conclusions you have to come on your own. But when you tell people where that came from and why that happened the way that it did, then invariably people tend to find it easier to process that trauma and then compartmentalize it over time. Right? Why did oh gosh, thank you so much. Um, why was why did I experience? Well, you did, and here's why it happened. It happened because of this and this and this. And this. And then when you understand why that happened and how that happened, then you can just sort of put it into its little box and put it up on the shelf.
Right.
Sometimes it's harder than other times to quantify putting it into its box and putting it where it belongs, but understanding the nature of what you're putting into the box, that is the thing that becomes easier and less difficult. And so,
And it's likely that those nuns went through that same kind of thing. If they became nuns, they were likely raised Catholic, and they probably went through that same kind of thing.
I think it becomes normalized.
Yeah.
It's normalized. I think back then too, it was normalized. Orphanage, the way the treatment, it was just, I think people were left to do whatever they had to do to take care of all these kids. And yeah, we were separated out. Wasn't allowed to see my siblings. Yeah, there was a lot of trauma with that. We were required to. There was prayer and all of that, and it just never seemed to fit. About being good people, and yet you're not being treated well. So yeah.
well,
I've compartmentalized a lot of that. I've just all tucked away.
that's a larger issue of my difficulty with Christianity because, the religion of which I associate says nobody should suffer. And I live and embody the concept that you should just heal people, whether they want to, you know, whether they want to be a druid or not. It's just more important to heal people. And so when I look at people like Mother Teresa, and I think that in her case, she was driven by bringing people closer to God, and the way that she did that was make people suffer, is entirely counter to what a bunch of old fucking books that I read about hugging trees and shit would say you should heal people
Mm-hmm.
and you should make people feel better and you should provide them with a safe space and you should do all of these things. And when, um, you know, when that doesn't happen, it's wrong in my opinion. I have to do something. I that turns me into the work of the devil because I'm combating the Christians that are doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's wrong. I think it's horrible.
Yeah, I think anytime, again, people in power, positions of power, especially religious power, um, I just think that sort of abuse needs to be dealt with. Period.
I mean,
In whatever religion.
well, I not just that, but let me raise a very interesting point about this. And this is one of those things that you have to explain to people. And I've explained this so many different times. Not funny. An example, like the clearest example of this, is King James translation of the text. Because, and I will just say this. So, do you understand that that text is flawed? And do you know why?
I see it as flawed because and all of that is flawed. The reason why is all of that was written way past the
Well,
death.
yeah, but in the context of the textual universe within itself, it's flawed for a specific reason. Here's why. When James commissioned the translation of the Tanakh and the Greek interlinear,
A lot was left out, wasn't it?
well, no, not just that. Um, there were additions that happened in the English translation of the text.
Oh. Mhm.
So, for instance, there are textual references in the King James to bishops and the clergy and the leader and the king. And those textual iterations were done specifically to glorify the monarchy and funnel all of that religious dogma back down into the monarchy. And he did that entirely on purpose. And so when Christians approach me and say, that's the first thing, the first thing I ask, I'm like, do you have a fluency in Hebrew and Greek? And invariably they say no. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to have a very good conversation. And then I ask them, okay, are you reading the NIV, the NJIV, or any of the JPS texts? What version of the text are you reading? If they tell me the King James, I'm like, okay, this conversation is really, really not going to go well. And you're not going to understand about half of the things that I tell you. And I love this. Here's what they do. They say, oh, but wait. But I use Strong's Concordance to interpret the Bible in the parts that I don't understand. And so I have to look at them and go, that's even more fucked up. And here's why. You're using Strong's. Yes. You understand that Strong's was written to reference the King James. So what you're doing is you're using a Cliff Notes version of a flawed Bible to translate a flawed Bible. And they look at you like, right. So why didn't you do that? And so then they do that. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't we go to like Mark 5 or whatever? And so let's talk about those 5 passages. And So read me what you believe about that. And so they read through it. And they're like, blah, 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 king, blah, 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 king, blah, 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 bishop. And I'm like, yes. Now, let me give you the actual Greek interlinear retext taken from the previous text. Yet, at Ivernum, yet Evinum, blah, 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 blah. And I don't mention king, and I don't mention bishop, and I don't mention king again. And they're like, um, you're not reading from the Bible. And I'm like, here. And then they look at you and they're like, that's not in my Bible. Yes, because your Bible is flawed. Because your Bible was translated by a person who was specifically interpreting that text to lean preference into the monarchy and into the regent and into the king. And that's why he did it. Not because, and then I usually top that off with the, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm shocked. I didn't realize this. And I said, yes, but there's another reason he translated the Bible, and I want you to know what that is. And they look at you like, no, why? Because he was gay. And what? And it's like, yes, King James was gay. This is well known. It's well documented. He had numerous male relationships. And theoretically, he translated the Bible to draw attention away from the fact that he was gay. Because everybody on the island hated him for the fact that he was so flagrantly gay.
Pentecostals are very much they like the King James version, the traditional, the old King James version. They do not like any of these newfangled NIV. Oh no, that doesn't belong here.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. Don't read that. That's a horrible idea.
No.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. Brandon, I'm not shocked by that. I'm really not. I should ask. I'm going to ask, Brandon, where are you in your trauma journey? Have you gone through it and come out of it, or are you still kind of, I'm working through some shit?
I mean, I still have family members who I try to avoid because I have an aunt, especially, that's very judgmental. She's in the Pentecostal church still, and never seen her in anything but a long skirt. And she's had her she doesn't have the hair thing. I mean, she's had the same hairstyle for the last 60 years or whatever, but it's not like down to her waist or anything. But she's very judgmental, and she's invited me to her Bible study and tells me I need to go to church and things like that. And I just don't want to deal with it. Yeah. I'd rather, I don't know. I just avoid her.
Mm-hmm.
But does she know that you're gay?
I mean, how could you not? First of all, but
look.
I mean, but she's just. I think it's more denial. I don't know. I was watching. I lived with her and my uncle for a little while because I needed a place to live, and anyway, I was living them through the whole while. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, there was Downton Abbey. We were watching Downton Abbey. Now she'll watch movies and stuff, and I don't know. They pick and choose. But anyway, we were watching Downton Abbey, and then have you seen it? Have you watched the series and everything?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, this was early on in the series when oh shoot, what's the gay butler? What's his name? Thomas. Wasn't it? It was Thomas, right? Is that his name?
I
The
yes, I think so.
I can't remember the gay book.
Yeah.
well, anyway. And so there's this man that comes to visit the estate, and it's obvious that they know each other. They've met before at least. And then they get to the point where he's taking care of him and everything, and he goes to they're alone in the guy's bedroom. And I know. I obviously, I mean, they have this history or something. I knew Thomas was gay, I could tell. And the way he was talking with this guy, he's like, then he sits on the bed. I was like, oh no. I was just like dreading. I knew what was going to come, and my aunt caught on just a little bit later than me. And she was like, is this a homosexual? And I was like, I didn't say anything because I knew what was going to happen. And of course they kissed and everything, and I was like, oh, but it was just, yeah. So obviously there is some kind of, wall there or something, some block that she doesn't see or doesn't recognize these kinds of things. And part of it's probably denial, and but maybe some of it's being naive. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
and she talked about she mentioned I have a cousin who's gay. She lives in another state, and she said, well, did you know your cousin so and so is a homosexual? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Your aunt sounds like my aunt. And I want to so my dad's sister is viscerally anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-ever. And I lived with this person for a time.
Yeah. That's the best part, living with them. I mean,
so long before I was a queer identifying person, but I will tell you, when I became a queer identifying person, she immediately demonized me to the family. And so, like, recently I went to a funeral where she was there, and her grandkids were all telling family, why is the thing here? I don't want the thing here. That thing, that whole narrative or whatever. But so here's,
I remember you mentioning that before.
Yeah. So
That's awful.
That was the woman when I was in my early 20s, where, and you could say this to her and she would just look you dead in the face and say this. You would be like, oh, Liberace, wow, he's gay, right? And she literally would look at you and say, don't you dare say that about him. You don't know if it's true. And I'm like,
pretty sure I do.
I mean, technically, maybe not. I mean, he didn't.
Can you not see that? I don't, and and then this was also the woman when Rock Hudson came out as gay because he had AIDS.
It was
cried for like months because she had a crush on him. And
have you told her about Elton John yet?
Right. Well, yeah, from her perspective, like, after, like, it came out that Liberace clearly was gay, because he was, and so then, like, I had a conversation with her, and she was like, who else do I not know is gay? And I was like, well, I mean, there was the dad from Brady Bunch, and she was like, shut up. And I'm like,
I mean, if you don't know that Liberace was, there's no
okay, and then, like, when I told her, Cary Grant, Cary Grant was gay, it was like you were committing a cardinal sin. You can't say that about people if you don't know it's true. And so, yeah, after that, like, we never talked again about celebrities being gay. Although I remember when Paul Lynde died.
Mm.
Remember Paul
Yeah,
Lynde from
remember
Bewitched?
Colin.
Yeah.
Bewitched, yes.
How was he not? And like, I loved it. I once told her that Richard Simmons was gay, and she didn't believe that. He's never come out. You don't know if that's true or not.
Oh,
He doesn't really have to come out. He's just, it's Richard Simmons. I mean, come on. Can you not? How can you not see that? Are you completely socially unaware?
oh, and yes, Aaron. It was an awful word for her. She used homosexual almost as a curse word. It was like Did you know she was a homosexual? Homosexual. I think she just liked saying it. Really, the sex part of homosexual.
You went broke Beth. God.
I love the emphasis on that. Homosexual.
Homosexual.
So have we helped you today?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, good. I don't want to do trauma therapy if trauma therapy is not going to succeed.
Well, I'm in the middle of it right now, as you know, but I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Excitement is good. Excitement is a lot better than something else.
Yeah. I'm just going with it.
Yeah, look, I didn't ever see that, at 53, I would be unemployed, trying to live the life of the starving writer,
Mm-hmm.
and then door dashing. Although, admittedly, I should say this: one of my super like the author on whom I read more of their works than any other author.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll let you guess who it is.
What author would you read?
Yes, yes, and I'll even give you the genre. So it's a sci-fi author.
I don't remember the name.
I'll even
There's
give you
one
another. I'll even give you another hint. More of his works have been turned into movies than almost any other author alive or dead.
Stephen King? That's
No.
horror, though.
No, that's horror.
That's
We're
horror.
talking, strictly sci-fi.
Oh, Steven Spielberg.
No, those aren't written works. Philip K. Dick.
Oh, written.
Was it? What was it again?
Philip K. Dick.
Oh,
Do you know who that is?
No.
I'm not much into the sci-fi.
Have you ever seen Blade Runner?
Yes.
Have you ever seen what's the other one? Blade Runner, and then there's so Blade Runner is Android's Dream of a Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
I've seen Total Recall.
Those are both Philip K. Dick novels. Actually, in Dick's case, the novel "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" That's the novelization. That's the novel that Blade Runner was based on. And then We Can Remember It For You Wholesale is the book that Total Recall is based on. But hey, here's the thing. K. Dick wrote short stories and novellas, so you can pick them up and finish them really quickly. And they're relatively well written. Here's the thing. Late in his life, at my age, he was working at McDonald's. He was working at McDonald's.
Oh, my goodness.
But, I mean, he was a prolific author. And most people in the sci-fi reading and literature space consider him he's at the top of the. I'll put it this way: the last big sci-fi writers convention that happened, they had a robot of Philip K. Dick at the convention
Oh, wow.
so that people could interact with it because, yeah.
That's cool.
And the K. Dick family, the estate, there was an estate that manages all of his works or whatever. They consistently sue Ridley Scott. And so you've seen the movie Blade Runner, right, Beth?
Yep.
Okay,
I've
so
seen Blade Runner. It's been a long time, but I have seen it.
I'm going to assume other people in the chat have. So I say this. When you watch that movie, do you walk away from that movie believing that Deckard's character is one of the replicant robot people?
Do you walk away feeling like that?
Yeah. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it could.
So here's the deal. When K. Dick wrote the book, that was a conclusion that Dick always wanted people to make on their own, never to be fed. So when Ridley Scott did the movie with Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer,
God, that's so
movie.
long ago.
Yeah. If you like dystopian,
I remember that.
dystopian movies, it's a great movie to watch. But anyway, Ridley Scott sort of danced a little too close to that concept, and so when you watch the movie versus reading the literature, it becomes more obvious that Deckard is. And so, yeah, exactly, Kathy. Yeah, exactly. And so, so when the movie came out, K. Dick and the estate tried to sue Scott for, whoa, you're fucking up the book. But then in the late 90s, early 2000s, Ridley Scott wrote a biography. And in the biography, he said, every time I run into somebody, they ask me if Deckard was a replicant or not. And I tell them, I'm so sick of hearing that. Yes, he was.
Oh, wow.
And when that happened, the K. Dick estate immediately sued to have that detail taken out of his biography. And get this, they were successful because it was taken out.
Oh, wow.
So when you talk about literature preservation or whatever, I think that's important. So, but anyway, so yeah, that's my favorite author. And I will tell you the queer space stories. There's some K. Dick influence there because he, like me, he had a very descriptive. He could describe things very ornately in a very short span of time. You know, yeah, Aaron, yeah, Ridley Scott's a piece of shit. I love his movies. He's a piece of shit. So, okay. Well, Brandon, do you have anything?
I don't think so. I'm still a homosexual.
Still a homosexual, huh?
You mean we didn't fix that today?
Didn't happen. No.
I don't, you know.
If you're gonna try to fix that, it'll take a while.
Oh my goodness.
I don't, you know, I mean, you know, there's a cure for it, Brandon. You know what it is? Do you want me to give you the cure?
I'm not sure I want it, but all right, I'll hear it. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. 2 words. Natural causes.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, Aaron. Don't put that in my head.
More cowbell.
More.
Well, my first thought was, I thought you were going to say vagina. I don't know.
No.
I don't think that's good. That's not going to do it for me.
No. No. Oh, fuck no. Look, vagina didn't stop me from being trans. It definitely won't make you not gay. I mean, come on.
More cowbell, though.
All vagina did for me was make me want a vagina of my own.
I'll stay away from the cowbell.
Oh, God, that's horrible. Okay, Brandon, thank you. Beth, thank you for sharing with us your
Brandon, thank you.
Bye.
It'll get better. And then I'll see everybody at 7:45. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Register for Brandon's Substack or I'm going to be sad.